بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Welcome to episode 19 of the series Filtering Out What the Prophet ﷺ Never Said. In this episode we'll take a story about Umar radiallahu anh and Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anh. And the story is a lengthier story, so we'll summarize it. It mentions that Amr ibn al-As, when he was appointed by Umar over Egypt, to govern over Egypt, Amr's son Muhammad raced with a guy from the people there, and that guy beat him in the race. So Amr's son beat him up. He undressed him and beat him up. And he said, take that. I'm again referencing his dad's status as the governor of Egypt. And then he went to complain to the governor, to his dad, to the ruler, Amr ibn al-As. So his dad, the guy went to complain to him. So Amr put him in jail. That's what the story says, at least. And then when he let him go 4 months later, he went to Umar. That man went to Umar to complain. Went to Umar to complain. He said, this is what Amr ibn al-As, his son, did to me because I beat him in a race. So he beat me up. I won against him in a race. So he beat me up and he took off my clothes, beat me up, and his dad, when I complained to his dad, he put me in jail for 4 months. So Umar called Amr ibn al-As, sent after him and sent after his son Muhammad, the son of Amr ibn al-As, and he took off Muhammad, the son of Amr ibn al-As's clothes off, and told the Egyptian guy to beat him up. And then he told him to do the same with Amr ibn al-As, and told him basically to hit him, to get back at him, basically. Now that's again, we summarized the story, but the story isn't an authentic story. It has a very weak chain of narration. It's not a true story. It's a very weak story, and the chain of narration isn't authentic. And we see the harm in narrating stories like that. I'm sure many of you might have already heard this story. I heard it myself several times, even more recently in a Friday prayer. Unfortunately, in a khutbah on Friday, the Imam of the Masjid mentioned it when it's not, in fact, an authentic story. And even though he himself referenced, the ironic part is that the Imam himself in that khutbah, and he referenced that story, he mentioned that the scholars hadith has criticized its authenticity, and yet he went upon mentioning it and narrating it and sharing with the people the story and extracting lessons from it and using it as proof to support his his khutbah and the points that he was making in his khutbah. So it's sad to see that, because we see the harm of these inauthentic narrations, the hadith, these stories. I mean, no one would accept that to be said about them or their father if it wasn't true. Then how are we accepting it to be said about a great companion of the Prophet ﷺ? This story doesn't show justice. This story doesn't properly represent both of these companions, and it's not true. So why quote something that's not true? Why use something that isn't authentically established when we have more than enough things that are authentically established, and when this isn't fair, doesn't do justice to those two great companions, anhuma. And unfortunately, the people who quote this story, they wouldn't accept that to be said about them if it wasn't true. So why are we accepting it about others, let alone about companions, great companions of the Prophet ﷺ, when it's not true? It's not authentically established. It has a very weak chain of narration, and it's not an authentic story. So we shouldn't quote it, except to point out to people that it is very weak and to warn them from its lack of authenticity. So that covers that story, which is not a true story. Again, if anyone has a story or a hadith that they have heard that they'd like to verify, please feel free to post it in the comments underneath this video, inshallah, and then we will cover it. We'll try to verify it and we'll cover it in an episode and mention whether it's authentic or not, inshallah ta'ala. Barakallahu fikum, jazakumullah khaira, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.